guys, it's Beth. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. So today we are building a luxury modern mansion. It's my first time building on this lot, but I actually really enjoyed it. I don't ever really play Oasis Springs, but I'm not sure why. It's a beautiful world, and the lighting in this world was amazing for taking screenshots, so I'll definitely be playing in this world again. First of all, I just wanted to apologise for having not uploaded this week. This video took me such a long time to do. I actually recorded a lot of this footage a couple of weeks ago, and when it came to editing it, I had just hours and hours of footage, so much of it to edit, so it took me quite a long time to edit, and it was just pretty full on, should we say. So it took me quite a long time to edit. I've had a few technical issues, but we are getting there. Hopefully it will be up very soon for you. I really enjoy doing speed builds, and I was so thankful for the positive feedback from you guys on the first one, so I thought I would do another one. So here we are. I am currently doing some landscaping. You'll see that I actually changed this staircase quite a lot. I was going for kind of this angle staircase originally, but you will see that actually I ended up scrapping this and just do the straight staircase because I wanted to make more room for a second pool. I wasn't initially going to leave that in, but I kind of want you to see the process that I go through when I'm building. I don't generally plan builds out in advance. I think I talked about this in the last video. So I do kind of wing it as I go along. So I wanted you to see kind of that process that happens. So you can see here I'm doing the pool, and then I'm actually following another Kate Emerald tutorial here for a round deck. Said in the Solani speedbuild video, her tutorials are fantastic, and the same is true again. Another brilliant tip from her that I've used. I was just actually watching her couple most recent videos today, and there's so many other things I want to try now. So yeah, definitely, if you haven't already, go and watch her videos because they are incredible. So thanks again to Kate for the tip here. So I'm basically using this tip that you saw me use last time for the pool in Solani, which is to build a room on top of it, and then you can raise the upper floor without it thinking you're trying to raise the foundation heights, so the game doesn't kind of glitch out when you try and do that. And then you can place two half circle foundation pieces, and in doing that you can make a rounded deck, which looks really modern and cool. I love how it looked on the pool in the end, and I was going for a really hyper modern, like black and white, very chic looking build. So I thought the rounded deck kind of floating over the pool just totally fit the vibe I was going for, so I'm really happy with how that turned out. Again, I think you can potentially see in some of the footage that I did change this a little bit. I started off with this kind of circle, and then I ended up extending it to be round on the front and then a straight foundation at the back, and I actually didn't like it. I ended up putting it back to being a circle again. So I don't actually remember if I left all of that footage in or not in the end, but this is what we came up with this kind of like circle deck, which I think, yeah, it just looks super modern and cool. I was really happy with how it came out. And so for this build, I really spent a lot of time doing the landscaping and trying to push myself with the terrain tools. I mentioned in the Solani speed build that terrain tools are not really my strong point. I don't use them that much, and I struggle a little bit with them. So I really push myself here to try and use them. I want to try and make interesting content for you guys, and I want to try and push myself to be a bit more kind of experimental with the builds and try and build things that are a bit more interesting. So I'm trying to do things that are not my usual kind of suburban box. So I really tried to do a lot with the terrain tools here, and initially, I think it looks a bit weird because you've kind of got the house up on this hill, but I think once the kind of staircase is in, I have a really gradual staircase that goes up to the front of the build, and then I have two pools and some kind of fountains, and then like a sunken seating area at the front. It's like a kind of like hangout space with a fire pit and things down at the front of the second pool. So I'm really happy with how it came in the end, and I think it blends into the landscape quite well. But yeah, there is a lot of kind of terrain tools and landscaping going on in this video, but I think that it's definitely worth it. I also spent quite a long time on the exterior of the build. I also spent quite a lot of time on the exterior of the build, which you'll see. I have actually split this speed build into two parts. It was so long, I had about 8 hours of footage to edit down. So it was quite a long video, so I decided I actually put a poll on my Twitter page. If you don't follow me on Twitter, by the way, my username is just frecklesimmer, the same as it is on YouTube, and I'll have it linked in the description. I'm pretty active on there, so please feel free to come and say hello. But I actually did a poll on my Twitter page and asked, would you rather, for a long speed build, have two kind of 30-minute parts or multiple parts that were kind of 10 or 15 minutes? And the votes were for kind of multiple shorter parts. Once I actually edited this and cut out a lot of the footage that I didn't need, I ended up with two parts that are about 20 minutes, so I figured that was kind of a good in-between. But I kind of got the feedback that maybe 30 minutes for a video is slightly too long, so I wanted to try and keep them a bit shorter than that. So I think this video is about 20 minutes, which hopefully is a bit more of a easy to watch length for you guys and you're not watching a video for ages. So yeah, so there'll be another part coming. This is the exterior we're doing today, exterior landscaping. And then I've got another video coming, which is the interior and the furnishing. So I thought it made sense to split it like that. So one video will be the outside and the landscaping and the building, and then the second part will be the furnishing. If that's your kind of thing, stay tuned for that. Hopefully have the second part of the video up this week sometime. Don't want to keep you waiting for too long. It's mostly edited and ready to go, so hopefully it wouldn't take me too long. So here you can see I'm working on the stairs. Again, these took me quite a long time. You saw initially I had built them in that kind of like on an angle, on a diagonal, and then I changed my mind and did them on a just straight like this. And I've seen quite a few builds, like modern builds, especially on shell challenges, where they have this kind of like really long staircase where it only goes up kind of one step at a time, and I think it looks so sleek. And I've never really figured out how to do it before, but I actually just did it by placing foundation pieces and just raising each one up one tile higher than the one before it. So you actually don't really need to put a stair on the front because your Sims can walk up it. I think I did in the end because a couple of them were slightly more than one tile high, but if it's only, the foundation's only like the first step, your Sims don't need a staircase to step on it. So they're actually just sort of foundation pieces connected. And then you fill in the gaps with the floor tile pieces, as you can see I just did there. And then it looks like one kind of continuous staircase. I think it looks really modern. I'm really happy with how that came out. So that was kind of the starting point for this build, honestly, was the staircase idea. And then I kind of expanded on that about what else I could do. You can see here also that front pool that I'm just working on just now is clear. The sides there, it's like a glass pool. That's another tip from Kate. There's actually, if you go into debug, there's a transparent foundation option. So if you build a foundation, set the pool into the foundation, you can then turn the foundation transparent and it looks like a glass pool. And I didn't get to use that in the Solani build because of the restrictions with using pools. If you watched that video, you saw how much I struggled with building that pool. So I was really happy to be able to use it here. I think it looks really modern. And then here what I'm working on is this kind of sunken seating area. I really just had this idea. I've seen it on quite a few sort of reference images of having this sort of like communal hangout seating area that's sunken into the ground slightly, so you have to step down into it. I wasn't sure I'd be able to do it because of the terrain restrictions, but actually it worked out pretty much the first time, which very rarely happens for me. Normally I have to try something. As you saw with the pool in the last build, hundreds of times before it looks how I want it to look. This actually, I just built the room the size I wanted to, the foundation, sunk it down below the ground level and then added a staircase, and it worked perfectly. And then what I'm doing here is I'm building, I really wanted this sort of like modular bench seating, and we just don't have it, at least not in the expansion packs that I have. And so again, watching more amazing people on YouTube, I've said this in the last video, but the amount of resources and ideas out there is just insane. I found a video about using these wall cabinets, sort of placing them back to back, and then you can place seats into the cabinets. So you can see here I'm using these kind of ottoman seats, place them down into the cabinets, and they're functional seating. I have play tested it. I don't know if I'll leave the clip in, but I did play test it. You can see my sim was just standing there to make sure that she could sit on them, and they definitely do work. And I just think it looks, that's exactly the look I was going for, was that kind of like built-in seating, and I just couldn't figure out how to do it. So as always, went to YouTube, looked it up, immediately found loads of good videos with ideas, and then it worked out like that. And it was, as you saw, that was really easy. It didn't take me too much work to do it at all. I had one issue where I did restart a save and I came back to finish the build and the cabinets had all disappeared. So I think definitely make sure you have move objects on when you place this lock, because I think if you don't have move objects on, there's going to be quite a few things that might glitch out. So I would definitely be aware of making sure that before you place the lock, you do have move objects turned on, just so that it avoids any weird stuff happening with the objects that I've placed, because I have used that in quite a lot of places. And then here you see all I did is just place the bonfire, and then this is actually a debug object. I think it's a sanding block that I just sized way up, and it kind of looks like a little fire pit. Again, I've talked about this in the island living build. I don't have fire pits, I don't have the right packs for that, and seem like I need to make them in every build, so I must do something about that and buy the pack that comes with the fire pits once I figure out what pack they come in. So yeah, you can see here I'm working on this deck, so you can see I've changed the shape a little bit and made it this sort of like oblong shape, and I've placed these lights on. I thought these lights looked really cool. And I think these are city living lights potentially. I think they look really good, but I ended up deciding that I thought it was a bit cluttered, there was a bit much going on, and I didn't like the fact that you can see there, that little bump out at the back is where I was going to place the door, and I felt like you wouldn't have been able to get out of the door because the deck was too close, and I just felt like it didn't look modern enough. So I actually do scrap this and end up making it a circle again, but I just wanted to leave this in again so you can see the process of what I go through building. And so you don't kind of think that it just turns out how I wanted to straight away. There is a lot of kind of back and forward that happens with building these kind of houses, and I am quite a perfectionist, so I do spend a long time trying to get things to look the way I want. And you can see it, like, with the lights off at night, it looks really cool. With the lights on even at night, it looks really cool. But I just felt like it was too much going on. And so here I just start working on placing some outdoor lights around. I think for me, it's really important that a build looks good at all times of the day, and especially I think sometimes your build can look good during the day and then at night it can look really bland. But I think if you place some lights strategically, you can really make a build look absolutely incredible, especially at night. I think those are some of the most interesting builds to look at, is where they're all lit up from outside. So I went around and placed some lights around, just these little outdoor spotlights. And not only does it look really modern, but it means if you're playing at night, the build looks really fancy, and I really like that. And then I'm just starting to work on the actual shell here. Again, in classic Beth style, I do jump back and forward a little bit when I'm building because I have an idea or I see something I want to do and I kind of hop back and forward. But for now, we're working on the exterior shell of the build. Again, the same as the last video, I was working from a reference picture here that I saw on Pinterest. And I was trying to kind of emulate, the picture had a lot of balconies and then this kind of like wooden slatting or like wooden posts that went up to connect the different levels, and I thought it looked really nice and I wasn't sure how I'd be able to do it in The Sims. So I actually ended up using a mixture of columns and then some debug planks to fill in the spaces, just because you can't place the columns close enough to each other. I couldn't place the columns on a half tile and it didn't look right having a big space in between them. So I ended up filling in the gaps with debug planks, which works. And you can see that I've made the roof with a bit of an overhang. And then I go around and place half walls around the roof because I normally kind of leave the roof until last and it's not really a focus. But the roof was actually quite a big focus of the build because it's got the kind of like really modern look to it. And I end up putting in some skylights as well, which you'll see. And I think it was really effective in the end. So here I'm just placing the debug planks and I'm just kind of raising them up. If you don't know how to do that, if you use, at least on a Mac, I have to use Control and 9 or Control and 0. I think on Windows you can just use 9 and 0. 9 raises up and 0 lowers. You can't lower things below kind of the ground level with that. If you want to lower things kind of lower than that or lower than they should go. The same thing with mirrors on the wall. You know, the mirror you can raise but you can't lower it past its original height. You can get around these things using the tool mod, which I'm finally starting to get to grips with eventually. I've been using it a lot and I think I'm getting there with it. But yeah, that was kind of the look I was going for with those wooden planks, just almost look like they're holding up the roof. But as I say, I had to kind of mix the columns and then the debug planks to fill in the gaps on that side, just because it looked odd not having the gaps filled. So you can see that I've made that kind of overhang on the roof so it covers the door. And then I'm just putting in these skylights. So for these I actually used the Island Living glass floor pieces. And I was trying something here with these awning pieces sized up to cover it. But I just sort of, you'll see I try and go around them with a bit of wall and they look okay. But I actually then had the idea like I could just put wall, like half wall over these. And then it would look good. So I actually decided that looked better and I didn't have to have those other bits sitting on top of it. So I was quite happy with how that came out in the end, and I think I was overcomplicating it a little bit. But as with all these builds, it's a process and you figure it out as you go along. And then for the windows and the doors, again, the reference pictures I had looked at, these buildings were like almost entirely glass. And I really like how that looks. I think it looks really modern. So that's what I was going for. I end up changing the bottom ground floor to be medium wall height, just because I cut it out, but I went through almost every single door in the short wall height category and they just didn't look right. And I went into the medium wall height and there was a big glass one that I liked, so I kind of had to make the walls taller to fit the door that I wanted. I feel like the doors in the medium wall height are a bit more grand looking, whereas in the short wall height they're all just kind of like almost small like little internal doors, and that wasn't really what I was looking for. So I ended up changing the wall height. And then here I'm working on the floor plan, which actually came together quite easily. Normally the floor plan's the hardest bit for me. I'm not really good at floor plans, but I think because I left I think because I left the downstairs completely open plan, it was a bit easier for me than normal. I only really had to work out the bedrooms and the bathrooms upstairs. And then here I was trying to do something different with the staircase. Again, I'm not really that creative with my staircases, but now that we have the option to do these kind of like angled modular staircases, I felt like I should make the most of it. And I felt like the door was so big that when you walked in that front door and all the glass windows, you'd want to see a bit of a statement with the staircase. So that's what I was going for. So I've turned them, put the glass railings round, and then I ended up turning the bottom out as well. I changed it around a bit because I felt like you wouldn't really be able to get in that space, like realistically. The Sims might be able to, but in real life it would look weird. So I didn't think that was a good look. And as you can see here, I actually went and decorated the inside of the house, and then I came back and did some landscaping. So hence the intermission. So here we are, just furnishing the outside a little bit. So I put a little outdoor dining area here, and I ended up moving these fairy lights over, so I put these fairy lights over this section instead, and I think it looks really cute. So I was really happy with how that came out, and I thought that would be a really nice little space to sit and entertain on the little kind of decking area. Put a grill, I put some speakers. I'm always kind of thinking about the gameplay and the usability of the builds that I do, so I thought that would be really awesome to have as a little space. And here you can see I'm desperately trying to fit a hot tub in, and it is just not happening for me at all. So I did try my best. But yeah, you can see there that the deck is round again, and I've actually changed the colour of the flooring, I think, as well. I felt the dark flooring was a bit much, so changed the round deck, putting some umbrellas and some loungers in, and then I put a little outside bar in this space. Just trying to think about maximising the use of the space and making it look as kind of realistic as possible, but also making it usable. So I ended up putting an outside bar here, and I put the little bubble seat thing up on the top balcony, because again I thought that was quite fun. I never really used that in my builds, but I thought I would try something a little bit different. And then I'm just going to go through and making some tweaks. I decided I didn't like that outdoor sofa. I didn't think it fit the vibes. I thought that looked a bit better. And then here, and last but not least, we're moving on to some landscaping. I felt like to keep in the vibe of the world, we really needed some palm trees, and I felt they really matched the kind of like modern vibe of the build as well. I thought the palm trees looked really nice. So I placed the palm trees down, and then I also go around and place some lights. Now you can see here, I've slowed this down. I had a weird glitch where when I went up another story, the current furnishing all disappeared. I don't know if you saw that. Really odd. I don't know why that was happening, but I thought I would leave in a little clip of that there slowed down so you could see. I've never had that happen before. When I went up to, there was like another level above the roof, and then all my furniture disappeared inside the house until I came back down again. Some sort of like visual glitch, but yeah, thought I would leave a little clip in just so you can see the things I go through when I'm trying to make these videos. And then here I'm just placing some more outdoor lights. Again, as I said before, I think sometimes how the build looks from the outside, especially at night, is really important. It can give a real wow factor to a build. I wanted this to be really like eye-catching, and I think having that exterior lighting makes it look really good. And I lit up around the bottom of the trees as well, just so that they kind of catch your eye. I think that makes a big difference. So I placed some trees along the back here behind the deck, and then I placed lights underneath them just so that you can really see them from further away. And a couple of planter boxes, just because I have pretty much every sim that I play with do gardening, because you can make so much money from gardening. So I always like to place a planter box or two. And then I felt the pool looked a little bit dark, so I thought I should probably add some lights in there as well. Overall, I'm really happy with how this build came out. Again, it was something a bit different for me, a bigger lot than I would normally build, definitely really modern. I tried to push myself with the terrain tools, try and do something just different and interesting for you guys, and I really hope you like it. It's available to download in the gallery if you want. I'll leave my gallery ID in the description. Please stay tuned for the part 2, which will be decorating the inside. Like and subscribe and do all that fun stuff, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Bye!